us via the Love 101 FM app that can be downloaded from the Google Play Store or the Apple Store. You can also join us on Love 101 FM Facebook and YouTube Live in the first watch today. What's the problem with importing teachers? And in second watch, don't divorce. For our social media question, we ask, what's the problem with importing teachers? Share your responses in our Love 101 FM Facebook page and YouTube channel, and also on WhatsApp, 876-9973-125, using the hashtag The Morning Watch. We'll share your response later on the program, but first, here's our quote.
All right, today's I quote is from Albert Einstein, and it says, imagination is more important than knowledge.
It's a very interesting I quote, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It has layers to it.
Right.
I guess you have to imagine first.
I'm assuming.
Good morning, Jacal.
Good morning.
The first watch. We'll be back after this break.
Here is your opportunity to connect with someone who will listen, pray, and give guidance. It's the Ministry of Counseling and Prayer of the Edgewater Baptist Church. Please call 876-220-6474 or 876-332-7956. Weekdays between 8 a.m. and 9 p.m. Saturdays and Sundays between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. Please talk to someone if you're finding it particularly challenging to cope during this period of crisis. Someone is waiting for your call. Please reach out today, 876-220-6474 or 876-332-7956. It's the Telephone Counseling and Prayer Ministry of the Edgewater Baptist Church. A reminder that somebody cares. Endorsed by Love 101.
When I come to the end of myself, Father, carry me.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. Jamaica has had a history of importing teachers from all over the world to teach in our schools. Non-Jamaican teachers have been teaching us and our parents and grandparents for, generations. Well, why this strong objection to them today? We have this morning to have a discussion or conversation around this. Dr. Knut Thompson. Dr. Knut Thompson is the head of the Caribbean Center for Educational Planning at the University of the West Indies. Dr. Thompson, good morning.
Good morning to you, sir. How are you? Thanks for having me.
It's good having you on the program, sir, especially such an interesting topic. Now, of course, as you know, in terms of this topic this morning, it is what's the problem with importing teachers? You know, it's one can argue that we have been, and sometimes the word importing is such a, it might not sound like the correct word, but we have had teachers teach persons here in Jamaica from, oh my God, centuries maybe. And they have come from the United Kingdom, from other parts of Europe, the United States, from Africa, Asia, South America. And these days it appears as if when there is talk of bringing teachers, there is a little bit of a concern locally. Well, why not pay the teachers who are here more so that they don't have to leave, so that you don't have to bring in other teachers? What, if anything, was different then, sir, in times past to now?
Okay. Yes. Thank you very much again. So historically, the importation of teachers was necessary because of the fact that we did not have trained teachers locally or enough trained teachers locally. So coming out of slavery, it was an inevitable step as part of the development process for us to import skills of various kinds. So persons occupying senior posts in the civil service, a lot of them males, would bring their wives, who would be teachers, pastors, and others. So it was a reflection of the stage of our development. Starting in the 1700s with the Mico, later in the 1800s with Bethlehem, and other schools like Shortwood, colleges like Shortwood. Both the colonial government and subsequently the Jamaican government, as late as 1956, when the Money College was formed, the same 1950 when the Church Jesus College was formed by the Anglican Church, there was a strategy to build local capacity. And it was a necessary step as part of a thrust towards development. Over the years, what has happened is that because these teachers who were imported were able to depend on the resources of their spouses and other benefits that they received as expatriates, they could survive on the local salaries they were being paid. When Jamaican teachers began to take the role of these former expatriates, many of the benefits that their predecessors enjoyed, they would not enjoy, because they would not, for example, get assisted passage, furlough, and other benefits, for example, free house and so on. So it became necessary for the government to make the package of payment to teachers more attractive. And today what we're seeing is the fact that government's inability and or unwillingness to improve the remuneration of teachers has led to this brain drain, this migration reality, making it necessary for us now to be re-importing teachers. So we have failed as a country in the process of sustaining our development by building our teaching force adequately to serve our needs.
Okay, so Dr. Thompson, in terms of the brain drain caused by some teachers leaving because of remuneration that they are not satisfied with, because it's not enough to keep them going in the way they would like to be kept, or it's just not enough to meet their needs, period.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
When they leave and we bring in new teachers from overseas, I don't know if you're in a position to say, but is it that they are now getting the free housing, or some of them anyway, or is it that they are now getting an increased remuneration package to attract them to come here? What, generally speaking, are the terms and conditions associated with them coming here financially?
Very, very good question. And the fact is, the government has not made public the terms and conditions of the recruitment of teachers. Now, I believe that in the same way the JTA salary scale, or the salary scale for teachers in Jamaica, is a public knowledge, the salary scale and the benefits to imported teachers should be public knowledge. I am not aware that the government has made public the terms and conditions of their service. And I believe it is a necessary step in order for us to assess whether the government is acting in a fair and reasonable manner. Now, let me hasten to add that the shortage of teachers due to migration requires that government finds a way of supplementing and closing the gap. But long term, importing teachers cannot be the solution. So the government must now, whilst it uses importation of teachers as a short-term measure, seek to redouble the strategies it is using to attract teachers to the classroom, to college and the classroom. And there are three things that government should do, in my view. One, it should pay the full tuition of all persons who enter the teaching profession, and as a consequence, have them bonded to serve a minimum period of years.
Oh, so slow down a little bit there.
Yeah.
So the persons who are training to become teachers, they
Yes.
should be offered free tuition for the training.
That is my recommendation.
And once they're through, they should be bonded to serve for a period of time. So at least you're guaranteed a certain number of years service.
That is my recommendation.
Okay, continue.
Second is that they should be compensated far better than they currently are. At present, a teacher at the lowest level of the scale is receiving about $3 million per year before tax. That translates to $250,000 per month. When you take account of the tax-free threshold of about $1,700, that teacher is taking home.
I think it means 1.7 million.
1.7 million is a tax-free threshold annually. So she at 3 million, the teacher is paying tax on 1.3, and 25%, 30% of that is tax. That's 400,000. So if you take 400,000 from 3 million, you're down to 2.6 million. So the teacher is taking home a little bit over 200,000 per month. That cannot sustain a family of 2 or 3 people. So my second recommendation is
or it could be even more.
Or even more, indeed, 4 or 5. And so you talk about rent, groceries, and basic supplies cannot come near to meeting their needs. And even in a context where the teacher has a spouse and the income doubles, they still will struggle. So my second recommendation is that government should increase the remuneration of teachers from levels 1 up to 3 by at least 50% in order to attract teachers.
Yeah, and I can speak. Hearing you, I can identify with some of what you're saying from experience.
Yes.
Because before my mother changed her career, she was a teacher for much of my younger years. And I would hear her complain, and I would see evidence of the challenging salary that she earned. I would see that literal evidence with my own 2 eyes.
Indeed.
And she had to retrain and change her profession in order to go into another profession where she would be better remunerated. So I understand what you are saying, Dr. Thompson.
Yes.
Now, were you through with the list?
Yes, I had a third point, and that in addition to increasing the salary,
yes,
the government should look to giving benefits to teachers, especially and particularly concessionary housing. The CCEP, the Caribbean Center for Educational Planning, which I'm director, we did a study in 2022 and found that the 4 top drivers of migration were low salary, lack of resources, conditions in the classroom, and leadership. And the 4 incentives. Pardon me?
You are going to say something. You're going to say something else?
Yes, those are the 4 top drivers. And I was going to add that when the 2 top drivers are the 2 top factors that would put.
In terms of the 2 top factors or drivers, sir, can you hold that thought until after the break? Because we are already upon a break. I just didn't want to cut you midstream. Listeners, please stay with us. We'll be right back with the Morning Watch.
Deworm you and your family twice a year with Pharma Wormhole, available at pharmacies island-wide. The time by Pharma Wormhole is 7:15 a.m.
Gear up the school Schoolers, July 15th to September 14th. Bashka's amazing back-to-school deals just for you. Buy a case of books and receive a box of pencils and pens. Don't miss special discounts on computer tables and chairs starting August 1st. That's not all. 2 lucky winners will receive a Samsung tablet or a $30,000 back-to-school shopping spree. Follow us on all socials at Bashka Jamaica for more information. Visit Bashka today and gear up the Schoolers. Bashka, the store that gives you more.
So you think all toilet paper is the same? Yeah, basically, tissue is tissue. You obviously never experienced the domino effect then. No, what not? Feel this. Wow, that is soft. Not just soft. Domino toilet paper is also super strong and ultra absorbent. Basically, you're getting comfort where you need it most. So yeah, you want to give me this one, right? Domino toilet paper. Experience the domino effect and get softness all around you. Available at retail stores near you.
Crime Stop Jamaica unsolved. 41-year-old Mason, Mr. Vivian Campbell of Pisces Avenue, Watson Road, Gregory Park, was knocked off his bicycle on Municipal Boulevard near Independence City at about 6 a.m. Saturday, January 14, 2024. Mr. Campbell was taken to Spanish Town Hospital and transferred to the University Hospital, where he died from serious head injuries. Crime Stop is offering a total reward of $250,000 for information leading to an arrestment charge. If you know something, say something. Solving crime pays.
Remember everything where you have, remember everything where you plan. With J and Bank, anything possible. With a little savings in your hand. Save so you can. Build the house, buy the land, walk homes and dreams like a plan. Save so you can.
Living your best life and making memories is priceless. But saving little by little is what makes it affordable. Stop wishing you could. With your Jane Bank savings, you absolutely can. Jane Bank will help you find a way.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. We are in the first watch. We're having a conversation with Dr. Canute Thompson, Head, Caribbean Center for Educational Planning, University of West Indies, and the topic is, what's the problem with importing teachers? Dr. Thompson, just before the break, you had outlined a number of things, 4 things in particular, in relation to some of the challenges that the teachers are having, why it would urge them or prompt them to want to leave the island. And you were going on to say a couple of other things. Would you like to continue your thoughts, sir?
Yes, so I was saying then that with those 4 factors which are driving migration, we found in our study that the 2 factors that would help to retain teachers or stem the migration was, no surprises, increased salaries and better conditions of service, particularly and especially the provision of housing. Rent is expensive, mortgage is expensive. And think of a teacher earning $200,000 and must pay mortgage out of that or rent out of that, and then feed herself and her 2 kids and her mother who might be sick. So if they are provided with housing, then it would reduce their expenses significantly. So our recommendation is that in addition to a 50% increase, the free payment of tuition and food, tuition and boarding for trained teachers, that housing be provided, concessionary housing. It's an investment in the future. It's an investment in our development.
When you say concessionary housing, you mean they would be able to purchase the houses at a reduced price with lower interest rates? What exactly do you mean?
Yes. So it would mean 3 things. One, that units, a number of units built by the NHT would be dedicated to teachers. The price of those units would be exceedingly low, and the mortgage would be at 0 up to 2%, depending on where they are in their the salary band. So they would pay something, but they would pay substantially less than they're currently paying.
And would it have anything to do with their years of service in terms of being able to what is kind of concessionary priced housing?
Yes, it would not necessarily need to be indexed to the years of service, because a more senior teacher is better able to afford housing. I think the housing solution should favor the young teacher. All right.
Understood.
And I would say further.
I know I'm taking a little bit off the ramp here, but because things do connect with each other. For those persons who may raise the argument or the concern that there could be an affordability issue, the government may not be able to afford to provide these kinds of housing, you know, in the way that you have described. They may not be able to provide housing at a concessionary rate. You could even have an ideological concern as to whether you are moving away from a free market system or way of providing housing to this way of providing housing at a knockdown price, if I could use that terminology.
Yes.
Any reactions to those two, Dr.
That's an exceedingly important point, exceedingly important. And I'll say two things in response.
Yes.
A country can afford the things it prioritizes. So the question becomes, what is the long-term cost of not having adequately trained teachers so that the 18% pass rate we're now seeing at CSEC can become an 81%? What are the consequences of most students not performing in school? It means that the substantial portion of each cohort of students go on to become minimum wage earners. Some become dependents of the state. Some become at risk to all kinds of antisocial activities. And the long-term cost to the country for not having adequately trained citizens, workers, is that we spend heavily, $20 billion a year in this case, to equip the police and the military.
Understood. So you don't spend it here, but you spend it somewhere else.
Absolutely.
Understood. I think I get the point, Dr. Thompson. In terms of something I just want to raise with you, maybe you can comment on it if you wish to. In terms of housing, I know that there are some schools, not all, some high schools in particular, where especially those that might have been started by the church, for instance,
yes,
and they might have an extensive plant, and that plant includes some housing, not for all teachers, obviously, but some amount of housing that can house those teachers who may not have accommodation. And I don't know, I get the sense that some of the newer schools that are being built are not necessarily being built with that kind of facility. Any thoughts, Dr. Thompson?
Indeed. So yes, there are some schools, the older schools, which have housing, which you may have 10 cottages. And 10 cottages for a staff of 80 means that you are meeting the needs of just about 12% of your staff. All right. And as you have said, newer schools are not going that option. So the larger question we have to ask as a country, what must we do to retain, first of all, to attract people to the teaching profession? I heard Dr. Garth Anderson from Tertius College and Mr. Howard Isaacs from Money College on radio the other day, indicating, and the data show, our own data at the School of Education show, that the spaces in the teachers' colleges are not being taken up. All right, they're having small
Dr.
and smaller
Thompson,
classes.
can you slow down a little bit and just repeat what you just said?
My apologies.
The
I'm saying
spaces in the teachers' colleges are not being taken.
Yes. In other words, people, high school leavers are not going into teaching. It's not attractive to them. And one of the reasons is that a teacher's salary is poor, but the prior reason in some cases is that many of them can't afford it. So there has to be that dual solution that the government implements, where on the one hand, it covers the cost of training, and on the other, it increases the benefits and conditions of service. So the housing as a tool that some schools use works for only a few. Government should step in my view, and where schools are not able to provide that housing, the government makes the provision to provide that support. It's a question, as I said, as the fundamental question is, what must we do? What are the 3, 4, or 5 key strategies that may be employed, that must be employed in order to attract and retain teachers?
Dr. Thompson, we could talk about this for another hour, but never enough time on the morning watch. I want to quickly, however, look at the whole matter again of teachers who come to Jamaica from overseas. And for instance, you might have teachers from a particular country, whichever country that is, or countries. They come here, they seem to be quite happy to be here. And you indicated that, well, we're not certain at the moment anyway. Well, I'm not certain, and you don't appear to be certain as to the terms of their remuneration. Could it be that maybe, I'm not trying to speculate, but is it that maybe, let us say, the country that they're from has a mission here, an embassy, I mean. Is it that maybe there is some assistance from the government from which those teachers came? I don't know. I'm just wondering, is it that maybe a part of how they are paid is not necessarily putting any pressure on the government of Jamaica? Or is it that in all cases, is it varied? Is it that in some cases, they're just simply earning what a teacher here in Jamaica would earn, but for whatever reason, they're just happy to be in Jamaica? Yeah. Any thoughts? Or do you have any data?
I truly do not know what the terms of their employment might be.
Okay.
We know, for example, that the social conditions in some of the countries may be less favorable than the conditions here.
Yes.
But what we know as a fact is that the cost of living in Jamaica is what it is, where $200,000 as a take-home pay is not enough to feed a family of 2 or worse 4 for a month. So whatever may be the supplemental income or benefits that imported teachers are getting, I think that all that needs to be put on the table so we can have a fair conversation as to the commitments that government is making.
Dr. Thompson, sorry, you were saying something further?
Something, as I said, importing teachers must be seen as a short-term measure.
Well, in terms of whether it's a short-term or a long-term measure, sometimes it is indicated that the teachers who are coming here might have some specialty in subjects that we don't have here in Jamaica at this time. Any thoughts on that?
Yes, indeed. So again, it points to the skills deficit that we have allowed to grow.
So the local teachers colleges, won't they have programs to presumably teach
all the subjects
students in those?
We have all these colleges. MICO has a good math program. STEM is being introduced in some of the colleges.
So why this? Is it that when they graduate and they have maybe worked here for some time, then there's a brain drain issue where they
precisely
leave?
So there are two things. A, students are not entering these colleges. So if you need 1,000 and 300 are entering, if you need 1,000 each year and 300 are entering each year, you have a problem to start with.
Yeah, sure.
Right? So you will have shortages in all areas, some worse than others. And so the strategy must be to address all areas of the problem.
So Dr. Thompson, as I said, we could speak for another hour. In a couple of seconds that we have left, any parting words you want to leave with us?
Yes. Simply encouraging the government to indicate, A, what are the terms and conditions of the importation of teachers, and B, to work through and share with the country a strategy over the long term for reducing dependence on imports and building up the local cadre of highly skilled, highly trained teachers.
I have to leave it there this morning, Dr. Thompson. I want to thank you for your time and for your thoughts and for being with us on the Morning Watch this morning. A very important issue, very important topic. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Listeners, please stay with us. We'll be right back at the Morning Watch.
Anything possible with a little savings in your hand.
The time by Jan Bank is
7:31 a.m.
I think follow Grace Sardine, follow the better flavor. Grace Sardine with the chef and the beginner. Follow the one with pepper, that are the winner. Shop on supermarket, everybody sell it. Do all of them nice. Pass the park, make us shell it.
Pick up Grace sardines with peppers, vegetable oil, water and olive oil with peppers.
Cook it up, we breakfast, lunch or dinner. Shake it out, spice it up, make it simmer. Grace Sardine, yeah, the better flavor. Quick and easy as you print it. Ready?
Grace sardines follow the better flavor.
Hiya! Don't let the hurricane season catch you without your supply of Lanco roof coatings. Get the Lanco Duraflex, Urethanizer, Siliconizer, or Siliconizer Plus to seal and waterproof the roof. No leaking or moisture problems. Lanco roof coatings reflect the sun rays and reduce the heat inside your house. Use Lanco coatings on your sink, slab, asphalt, wood, and shingle roof. Available at your local hardware store. Lanco, your waterproofing experts.
Remember, every dream where you have, remember everything where you plan. With J&B Bank, anything possible. With a little savings in your hand. Save so you can. Build the house, buy the land, work goals and dreams like a plan. Save so you can.
Living your best life and making memories is priceless, but saving little by little is what makes it affordable. Stop wishing you could. With your J&B Bank savings, you absolutely can. J&B Bank, who help you find a way.
I am so happy for back to school. But wow, getting back to a quiet house comes at a price, right? Flo knows how to easy work for back to school. With a $15,000 gift card to help take care of your back to school expenses and a free school bag. The books aren't going to carry themselves, right? Make back to school easier and sign up for Yard and Road. Get internet at home and mobile on the go for only $5,300 plus GCT. Flo Yard and Road makes every day better. Visit our Flo store today. Conditions apply.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. Let's take a look at the newspapers to see what Jamaicans and others are saying and doing. And we have here in the Gleaner, firstly, vacancies to fill. Alfred Thomas, principal of Brownstown High in St. Anne, has less than a week to fill 9 vacancies on his teaching staff after facing the bulk of teacher resignations in late August. We turn to the Observer. Ministry figures show exodus of teachers slowing. That story by Alicia Smith of the Observer. The exodus of teachers from Jamaica seems to be slowing, with the Ministry of Education and Youth reporting on Wednesday that just more than 100 fewer public school teachers have resigned this year. We turn now to the Loop Jamaica News. Another earthquake felt locally. The earthquake unit at the University of West Indies, UWI, has reported that a light earthquake was felt in Jamaica at 12:30 p.m. on Tuesday, August 27th. The epicenter of the earthquake was approximately 22 kilometers southwest of Savannah-Lamar, Westmoreland. The preliminary magnitude of the earthquake was estimated at 4. Very interesting. I didn't feel that earthquake. Trickle die. I think you did, or well, did you? Did you not?
I didn't.
You did not.
Mm-mm.
Well, more anon. We interestingly we covered earthquakes just this week on the Morning Watch. Coming up next, we'll read some of the feedback from our Facebook, YouTube, and WhatsApp question, which is, what's the problem with importing teachers? If you haven't done so yet, leave your responses in our Facebook or YouTube. Love 1FM Jamaica Live, and also WhatsApp comments and voice notes to 876-997-3125 using the hashtag The Morning Watch. We'll be right back.
Every Saturday
Saturday, 7 p.m. to midnight on Love 101. You're invited to travel in time with music at its best. It's the Gospel Music Machine with the Gospel Music Master, Angela Wilkinson. From your favorite choir music to Christian contemporary, a touch of reggae and the Caribbean feel.
Gospel Music Machine,
Nigel play the tune. Yep, the Gospel Music Master is still playing the tunes down alone. And he's definitely your music master. Saturdays, 7 p.m. to midnight. You won't regret the link. It's on the family station, Love 101.
That is all I need.
Here is your opportunity to connect with someone who will listen, pray, and give guidance. It's the Ministry of Counseling and Prayer of the Edgewater Baptist Church. Please call 876-220-6474 or 876-332-7956. Weekdays between 8 a.m. and 9 p.m. Saturdays and Sundays between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. Please talk to someone if you're finding it particularly challenging to cope during this period of crisis. Someone is waiting for your call. Please reach out today, 876-220-6474 or 876-332-7956. It's the Telephone Counseling and Prayer Ministry of the Edgewater Baptist Church. A reminder that somebody cares. Endorsed by Love 101.
When I come to the end of myself, Father, carry me.
Are you ready for another exciting show inside Alive, 1 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. this Throwback Thursday, August 29? Well, join me, yours truly, Sarah, and the Chirpy One, for another time to recollect and reconnect. Stay tuned for the brain testing exercise at 1:45. Then Prayer Blast will be at 2 o'clock as we ring in the prayer bells of heaven. 2:15 exact piece of the past. We share with you some traditional Jamaican proverbs, part 7. Join us as we continue this series. Then at 3 p.m. we have Music Overload. Music in a throwback style. All this and more will come alive 1 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. this Throwback Thursday, August 29 on the family station, Love 101.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. Let's join Jakal to see what our friends in the social media landscape have to say in relation to the question, what's the problem with importing teachers? Jakal.
All right, so we have a response here from Cherry in Spanish Town. Cherry says the problem would be the package of salaries and benefits that is offered to imported teachers, comparing it to our teachers here, who are leaving in droves because of the same salaries and benefits. So that is the problem that she is seeing with this.
Well, boy, this teacher salary benefits issue is pretty interesting, and it would appear as if my understanding is that globally there is a challenge with paying teachers, or that teachers have challenges with their remuneration. But to put it more forensically, but Jamaica might be having a particular issue. And some persons leave Jamaica, go to greener pastures to become teachers. And even though those teachers in those countries complain about those salaries, Jamaicans are happy to get those salaries because they're significantly greater than what they were getting here. So it's relative, but it's a conversation that will definitely continue. And most teachers love what they do. That's oftentimes why they go into teaching in the first place. They really enjoy teaching. Well, we move right into the second watch. And in Jamaica in 2019, it is indicated that there were 3,934 divorces, which was more than the amount in 2020. The 2020 figure is reported to have been 3,689 divorces. However, in 2021, a jump was seen to 4,381 divorces filed. 4,381 divorces filed. Now, although the gentleman who will be our guest in this second watch, he is not married, he is at least one voice saying no to divorce. Many Christians, interestingly, are getting divorced, including pastors. Are there any special circumstances why a divorce can take place? And of course, if a divorce does take place, what of the issue of remarriage? We have as our guest today, and I will say a very special guest today, Father Richard Holong. Father Holong is the founder of Missionaries of the Poor, and Father Holong doesn't need much of an introduction. He's well known to the people of Jamaica. Father Holong, good morning, sir.
Good morning. Yes, thank you.
Absolute pleasure having you on this morning on the Morning Watch. Before you utter another word, it's an absolute pleasure having you on, sir.
Thank you so much. It's a privilege to be able to be on your show. Thank you.
Father Holong, what does the Holy Scriptures teach on divorce? And in particular, are there any specific teachings on the subject, perhaps from the Roman Catholic Church, of which you are a member?
Well, the Word of God tells us Moses does not want any dismissal of a man and his woman. He allows for a bill of dismissal because he knows of the hardness of heart of their heart. So he allowed others to divorce, a man to divorce his wife, but it was not so in the beginning. That's the Word of God. And in my own experience, I find that there are lots and lots of disruptions of families. In the United States, for instance, there's much problems. Something like 70% of couples, even within the Catholic Church, divorce. Now, this matter of divorce is unnatural because of the kids, because of the man, because of the woman. There are great difficulties in divorce, including adultery. But love carries us past all the difficulties that there are, and we find ways to love one another because we did love one another. Is it that love is an impermanent matter?
Father, hold on. I know we're almost upon a break already, but some persons will say the divorce was necessary because there was physical abuse or physical violence in the marriage. Any thoughts on that before we head to the break?
Yeah, and that is true. It happens, but even in the matter of physical abuse, we must learn to develop, first of all, in our engagement.
Father, hold that thought 1 second, because I gather we're now upon a break. Listeners, please stay with us. We'll be right back on the Morning Watch.
Praise sardine for the chef and the beginner. Follow the one with pepper, that are the winner. Shop on supermarket, everybody
Praise sardines, follow the better flavor.
The time is
7:45.
Your food tastes the best, it's true. And your food brings the best out of you. Tasting meals packed with style, satisfying, makes you smile. Cream rises to the top, it's true. Your Foods, sour cream and cream cheese spreads in supermarkets island-wide make your best even better.
The report is out.
What report?
The Constitutional Reform Committee's report of recommendations
Recommendations on what?
on how we move from a monarchy to a republic, of course.
So what's in it?
The creation of the office of president and changes to our parliament. Yes, man. It also includes a new qualification for membership in parliament. I know you want to see that one.
Read the full report at roadtorepublic.mlca.gov.jl.
We are on the road to republic.
To my amazing son on his wedding day, my heart is full of joy for you. I wish you a lifetime of happiness and a house full of love. Oh, and some kids would be nice. Your mommy will be the kindest, loveliest granny there ever was. Love always, Daddy. I promised him I'd read this to you one day, and here we are.
Thanks, Mommy. Your love lives on with life insurance from Sagicor. Talk to an advisor today.
Ready, set, go! Race down to Singer to get golden deals on appliances, electronics, and furniture. Be a part of the action with LG 4K Ultra High Definition televisions. Get a free microwave with the purchase of an electric stove. Stay cool with inverter ACs now at the lowest prices this summer. Get freezers starting as low as $39,995. Only Singer has 120 days for cash and 9 months no interest. Shop today for unbeatable credit. Conditions apply.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. We are in the second watch. The topic is Don't Divorce. And our guest is Father Richard Holong, founder, Missionaries of the Poor. Father Holong, just before the break, I had raised with you the issue in terms of why some people may say a divorce is necessary. There might be physical violence. And to add a little bit more context to it, sir, in some cases, the violence doesn't stop. The perpetrator of the violence, whether it is the man, and it could even be the woman, but it is understood that most times it's the man, the violence just continues on and on and on, and the woman has to flee for her life, literally. Father, hold on.
Yes. There is violence, and there is violence with marriages that continue nevertheless. The matter is there has to be dialogue between the man and the woman. There must be an admission of sins and faults and weaknesses. There has to be an investigation of this anger that creates this terrible violence that happens, and but we must look far down the line. The root of a civilization is really family and children growing up having a sense of stability. Even when there are difficulties and problems in families, we must realize that this is something sacred. As it says in the scriptures, a man
Father,
and a
you
woman.
just said something. This is something sacred. Do you think most people these days regard marriage as sacred?
I don't think so. And therefore, I think that it's not seen as something sacred and profound, and that must not be broken. But there are civilizations that keep on going despite all the difficulties that are happening. And they know there is a bottom line. You do not divorce. You unite. You've got to find ways. You've got to be faithful to each other. And once that established sense that happens in countries, you will find that the society is much more united, and people are more stable. Children are more stable also. We mustn't take marriage frivolously, as I think we do in the West.
Father, hold on. I know I'm intervening here, but what about situations where the parties may be married, but for whatever reason, maybe a lot of the times when people get divorced, it's because of disrespect or infidelity. There's also those situations where there is violence, but oftentimes it's really issues of disrespect and infidelity. And the parties may separate, but they don't actually get a divorce. So one lives in one section of the house, one lives in the other lives in the other section of the house, or one moves out, lives elsewhere, but they don't actually dissolve the marriage. Any comments on that? Because sometimes you do have that situation.
Well, yes, separation with the eye, however, of coming together and dialoguing and not being in the heat of an emotional rage but thinking the children, I've got to think of my children.
Yeah.
I've got to think of my society. Divorce is a very, very, very serious matter, emotionally and mentally for not only our children, but for each other.
Yes.
So many times.
And if I could add, Father, how long it can be a serious financial issue too.
There can be. It always ends up that way because then you've got
someone loses some of their, finances or wealth or that sort of thing. Father, yes, continue, Father. Hold on.
Yes, that happens, but I don't think that money is a bottom line.
I agree with you, Father, but I just raise it because it is also something which, when the person loses that wealth or whatever money they had or thought they had because of the divorce, then that compounds and adds to the emotional distress of the person who suffered that loss.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. And the hurt that's endured and the lack of self-confidence that ensues, whether it be the husband and wife, or whether it be the children, is very, very important. I look at the attitude that is happening throughout the world, not just Jamaica. All over the world, people are seeking greater pleasure, greater money, freedom, and so forth. As surpassing that matter of, I married this man and this woman, or this woman, I must be faithful. Faithfulness is the sign of love, not romance, but faithfulness through thick and thin, through difficulties, hard times, good times. We keep on going. Maybe we don't look each other in the face for a time, but we should always seek to move back to a union with each other, even in the sense of separation. When separation happens, we must seek ways to love. Love is a matter which requires effort. It's not just feeling. It's not self-satisfaction, but it's creating through the Christ on the cross, ways to undergo suffering and difficulties, even when we are having great difficulties with each other. It also happens, sir, in community life. I live with other people. We quarrel, we have difficulties, but we have correction of each other. We sit down weekly and we say, okay, let me tell you my faults. Let me tell you my difficulties with you as a person.
Father, hold on. I'm going to share this with you. It's not really a joke, but I saw it on someone's WhatsApp status yesterday, and I don't have the exact thing I saw or the exact words with me here, but the kernel of what was on the WhatsApp status was, if we are having a challenge in the marriage, do not divorce. Rather, let us go to sleep and wake up tomorrow and try again. I found it interesting because the person who put that on their WhatsApp status, they had no clue that I'd be doing the topic this morning. They wouldn't have had any such clue. So I said, wow, this is interesting. This is probably preparation for the interview with Father. Hold on.
Well, this morning for scripture reading, we rise and we have prayer together at 6 in the morning.
Yes.
Was about Herod. Herod and his union with Herodias, the wife of his brother. And how John the Baptist simply said no. He simply said no, and he was martyred. It's that serious. I think even within my community, I mentioned, sometimes we need a little break from each other. We need to take control of our emotions, our feelings, and try once again. But love is a union between people who keep on trying, maybe never fully succeeding in what is romantically called love, but nevertheless saying, we are in here together. We are bound together in Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ is the one that will unite us. Not even you and I, not the husband and the wife, not even the children and the parents, but Jesus Christ tells me, find a way. You're both human. You're both good people. You both have also sins and do wrongs. But we've got to keep on going.
Yes.
We've got to. And you know what? In the end, I think we'll be satisfied. We'll be happy that we never broke up and separated. Yes.
You know, what inspired this interview, you know, was a recent article that you put out in one of the major daily newspapers, where the title of the article was the title maybe of, I don't know. In other words, it was saying, don't divorce. And we're happy to have had you on this morning. What parting words would you like to leave with us? Because even some pastors are getting divorced.
I say, Jamaica, let's separate the two issues, sex and marriage. Marriage really consecrates us to be people who have sexual intercourse as a husband and wife. But outside of marriage, it's not wise, it is wrong. It's evil, it hurts people, and finally, it hurts you. Let us respect one another and respect our own bodies as a temple of the Holy Spirit.
Father, hold on, excellent way on which to end. That article was in the Jamaica Observer. It was no to divorce. That was the article in the Observer. Thank you so much, Father Holong, for your time and for your thoughts and for your inspiring words and for your gentle words as well. If I could add that, sir. Thank you so much for the guidance and for that fatherly guidance. Thank you so much, Father Holong.
And anytime. And please pray for us. We have so many people who are homeless and destitute who have been thrown away. But at least they now find love with the brothers. But pray for us to have the strength to continue.
Thank you so much, Father Holong. We will. Thank you, listeners, for being with us as well. And join us again next week as we look at other topic and controversial issues. Visit the Love 101 FM YouTube channel and Facebook page for this and all other Love 101 FM programs. And of course, also on TikTok at Love 101 FM Jamaica. Listen to the Morning Watch on our Love 101 app and download it today and stay connected to the family station, Love 101 FM, the number 1. Gospel Station in Jamaica. This has been the Morning Watch. Thanks to our producer Kathy Gale and to our guest, John Reverend Dr. Dylan Toussaint next week as he continues to look at the issues of the day. I am Stokeley Marshall as I hand you back to Love in the Morning with Chukal.
At the Ministry of Health and Wellness, we are committed to the values of care, compassion, excellence in service, integrity, teamwork,